channel, Good Golf Coaching. We've brought them together and we are streaming live on both channels.
Hooray for the lease line.
Hooray for the lease line and James's grey hair. That's
And
mysteriously,
your 3D polo shirt.
yeah, mysteriously, James has got rid of all of his grey hair, all two of them, by all accounts.
Just for men.
Yeah, so we're going to be running a competition. Stay tuned to find out a little bit more about that. It's already in the chats of both channels. So we're taking all of the questions about golf swing and equipment all hour long. This is your opportunity every week to reach out to Simon or myself to answer anything golf specific. I want to say a big shout out to Kate Davey, our in-house strength and conditioning coach, who has just come back from competing in High Rocks Elite 15 Vienna, finished 9th in the world champs in Nice in May. So we all wish her a lot of luck. They're a lunatic when it comes to working out.
Glad it's her, not us.
Yeah, and just recently started working with Charlie Hull.
Yes.
Charlie has seeked out Kate's expertise, and Charlie is here training more than regularly, shall we say.
Yeah, exciting to see what's going to come from that.
Absolutely, and Charlie has already said how much more distance that she's put on in the few weeks that's been training with Kate, and obviously we wish Charlie lots of luck with her pursuits on the golf course. Big year for her, perhaps.
I think so. I mean, we said last year, seems like ages ago now, but I think with her progression last year, I think you kind of feel like settling, understanding herself, knowing condition-wise what she's dealing with, and so therefore being able to, one would assume, just a kind of calmness, I think, rather than going, should I be thinking this, should I be doing that, why am I not doing this? I think just her game just seemed so much more settled last year, and to come so high up in those couple of majors, just knocking on the door now, I think.
100%. So the competition that we are going to be running, all you need to do is subscribe to Precision Golf channel, Good Golf Coaching channel, and in both of the chats, enter in the word competition. The competition is the winner will receive an hour session with myself, either in person or via Skillist, and a driver fit with Simon.
That'll be in person.
That'll be in person, yes. That'll be quite a feat, that.
That'll be a tough one.
Doing a remote driver fit. Now, if you're new to our Monday Night Lives, we have TrackMan, we have the studio, which James on drums behind the scenes is controlling, so we can hit shots, we can get the data up, and principally we can hit any golf club. If you can think of it and a shaft, we will have it. So do lean on us to test, try, lean on Simon's expertise, so feel free to do so. It's been a big weekend. There's been a lot of drunk people at the Waste Management jumping in bunkers, and people in
the Wasted Management Championships, I think it'll now be called. With probably the trophy next year will be someone vomiting in a bin.
Oh, I know. What are your feels on that? I mean, we've got to remember that this is kind of the direction that Live Golf are going in.
Well, I don't know about getting hammered on the golf course. I think what I applaud that tournament for doing is like the stadium around the 16th, the fact that it is a bit more fun. I'm absolutely all for that. I just think it's a tragedy when people are fighting on a golf course and sitting in a very unpleasant state, surrounded by themselves. I think it's just an incredible shame, because that 16th can be such a great spectacle with the players putting on their college sweaters, whether it's an American football shirt or whatever. I think that there's the fun element, which I think is so important to get into the game. And when it's good, it's such good fun. But that was a shocker, sadly. I think that's such a crying shame. I think that hurts. That hurts golf, I think.
I'm now double iPadding, throwing questions at Simon. I mean, if life wasn't more tricky. So normally, again, for all of those people that are tuning in from my channel, usually what happens is we get a little bit of banter thrown at us, and I see it started off nicely with Mauser. Great shirt, Stuart. Is it available in any other colours?
I hope not. That's bright enough.
Absolutely.
Vivid orange would be quite special, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And David Brett, can Simon explain the science behind clubs starting to behave when you have a fitting booked in to replace them?
Oh, definitely. The science of that is that they sense a change, and then they go, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then normally the day before the fit, you hit every fairway with the driver that you're going to change. It's just inevitable. I think part of it is you stop caring quite so much, so you free it up. I'm sure that's what happens.
Yeah, most definitely. Fitting wise in the studio, it's been a busy weekend and
really busy, yeah.
Past week.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, February, March is always kind of what they call silly season. It's before people getting the new equipment's in, people coming in to get fit, ready for the start of the season. Seeing some interesting results. I think the breadth of equipment this year, the choices, being able to fine tune launches and spins. I think this year, I sometimes hesitate to say I think this is the best year I've seen in terms of being able to match the profile of the club to the player, but having the breadth of options that there are this year, I think are the best I've seen.
Fantastic. And any standouts so far going in early? It's a long
actually,
year ahead, of
what
course.
has been impressive is, where TaylorMade have always been low spin bomber in terms of fairway wood and hybrid, the Max Flight Up. I did a video recently, I don't know whether it's out yet or being put out shortly, on 5 woods and which heads launched the highest, and some really interesting results on that. And the TaylorMade performs very, very well, where you'd expect it to be just a cannon. So there's that range of options now available, which I think it's been it's going to be really good this year.
We've got lots of people asking questions. Why don't we hit a couple of shots, show the new viewers that might not have seen our Monday Night Lives of what we can do.
How competitive we get when we're giving
We may get competitive, but maybe we hit a shot. What have we got? I mean, you've been hitting.
Currently set up on 180 yards, just as a kind of a general backdrop.
As I was walking down, I saw Simon beating about 30 or 40 balls. So let's hit a couple of shots to the 180 and just show the folks at home what is possible with the tech that we've got open to us.
Yeah, so I mean, from a fitting point of view, and I think in lessons we'd normally use just a standard range view because you get all the data, so all the parameters you need. Whereas on the virtual range, it's target greens and there's a fairway, and the ball reacts like it would on course. Whereas on the range view, it's just like a driving range setup. But we can have 8 parameters on the left-hand side of the screen. In terms of club data, ball data. We tend not to use for fitting because you can't compare the data, but you get the data from that shot.
And those of you that are subscribers to my channel, I'll always have 4 of the data points up: attack angle, path line, face to path, and face angle. We can select those data points down the left-hand side. This is the TrackMan range. It's a great bit of kit that really engages. I mean, this is a new range that TrackMan have brought out. When probably 3 years ago?
A few years back,
3 years ago now. And they've gradually updated them. The graphics are getting sharper and brighter.
Yeah, if you stick the wind on, it shows the trees moving, especially at 35 miles an hour like we did last week. But and I think with this, it's almost more like a functional practice rather than just a data session. So,
Fantastic. Well, let's get into a few of these questions. We've got a good few of you on and watching. We'll be drawing the competition answer or the winners next week. So do stay tuned for that. We'll obviously check back through all of the comments, and we'll select a winner. So Nick Elkin asked, what are your opinions on the rowdy crowd in Phoenix? Well, we've already shared our thoughts on that one.
I think the biggest shame with that is everyone's talking about that, not that there was a playoff. Nick Taylor won. Yeah. They both birdied the first extra hole, and then he birdied the 2 extra holes to win. I think that's the biggest shame for me. The focus is on just the wrong thing.
Very much so. Very much so. Liam Hancock, evening gents. Good evening, Liam. Nice to have you with us. Thoughts on 5/7 woods for faster swing speed players? Less of them because we're in the UK.
Yes. So part of that is I think we're seeing more of them now that heads are getting lower spin and the balls have got lower spin. So actually, we're seeing more higher speed players going into 5 woods than I've seen for a very long time. And I'm actually going to build one up soon, and I haven't ever played one because I've hit it too spinny. But I think in the UK, where there's a bit more breeze, You know, the wind swirls around the courses around here quite a lot. With a 7-wood, the ball can stall up and then get moved around by the wind too much. So a hybrid or a longer iron goes through the wind more. But we are certainly doing many more sets where we're building a 4-wood and a 7-wood instead of a 3-wood and a 5-wood. So we're seeing, you know, a lot more lofted woods now.
Interesting question in from Jeff Berger. Seems like a shorter putter backswing increases your odds of returning a square club face. What do you think? From my perspective, if you have a short backswing, if you're not putting on fast greens, you're going to have an incredible amount of acceleration with the handle. And when you do that, your grip pressure is going to have to increase to make sure that the club head comes with the handle, or else you'll just simply leave the face open. And that could lead to any number of things. I think if you are playing on the PGA Tour or a golf course that's running at 11, 12, 13 on the stimp, short backswing, go for your life. But I think if you're playing in the UK, and we're running probably at best at some of the golf courses around 8, 9, if we're lucky, short backswing isn't going to work a whole good way. So I would dissuade people from being short backswing. If anything, you're better off having long to short than short to long.
Yeah, then pace control. If you got, as Stuart said, if you've got a high acceleration rate, then there's this phrase, it can go off in your hands. The ball can just, in no time at all, can get away from you, or you end up backing out of it and leaving it short. So yeah.
Very much so. Of course, to enter the competition, you need to write competition on both the feeds, and obviously we'll go check back over so that we know that you've subscribed to both. It's like looking at like a.
I'm glad I'm here and not there.
I know. So Graham Foster,
Cross-eyed by the end
do
of it.
you have any information on the VA putter shafts?
So we saw Victor out in Orlando a couple of weeks back, and essentially they're different weights. So the Badass is a little bit lighter, and the Villain's a little bit heavier. The Villain's are slightly higher grade, higher premium material, so it's going to come in at a little bit higher cost. But really, as with all the composite putter shafts, so they do different weights. It's about getting as much stability as possible. It's a bit of the thing to be doing at the moment. It doesn't suit that many people. Certainly in the UK, where we've got slower greens, you need a bit more of a hit. On quicker greens, it's like the Stroke Lab Odyssey shafts. They work better where you don't need as much of a hit. But really, it's to reduce vibration, rotation, and keep the head as stable as possible at impact.
As you will have started to get the vibe, Simon knows his onions when it comes to golf equipment.
Don't like the taste of them though.
No,
So.
well, no, there you go.
Red, white, or otherwise.
Horse racing legends, we've got all types of YouTube accounts here. Good evening. It's amazing how money spinning YouTube golfers have become. Rather than seek out famous players to play with, it's the pros who are now seeking out YouTubers. Even Rory has been on recently. I think this is it's a really interesting comment. I don't think maybe folks out there at home appreciate the kind of revenue that these YouTube channels are creating for, I mean, people like myself, who's, you know, my time, I can only sell out on an hourly rate. I can start to put out content that gives me a passive income. And if the content's good, then why not? And I think there's a lot of golfers out there that have gone down that road, likes of Rick Shield, Peter Finch, that have used their early days as a golf coach to fire up the band of a YouTube channel. And absolutely, it's great exposure because companies know who they're getting access to because of these channels. The analytics behind the scenes of a YouTube channel is absolutely extensive, and it might be even interesting one day to share that sort of insight, which I'm sure you can find online anyway. But the analytics really give you an insight into what people like and enjoy, how long you watch for, where you're watching, thumbnails. You know, it's extensive. And I think when you get a Rory that's jumping on and playing golf with someone, I mean, he'll be getting a cut of the share of the profits from that video, without doubt, or a fee. But also from his sponsor's perspective, he's able to put his product in front of, you know, some of these videos are getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million views. Now think about that when it comes to, you know, you might be able to tap into that on a Ryder Cup weekend. Well, you can do one video on a YouTube channel and get that in a couple of days. So it's really, really powerful stuff.
I think on some of them it is, again, it's that slightly more it's a bit more relaxed sort of format as well, so you get to see a slightly different side of the player. So I quite like some of these. I think there are some that are better than others, but equally speaking, I think from an advertising point of view, it makes sense to the sponsors. But equally speaking, I think we see a nicer side of the players sometimes as well. That's good to see.
I stick to football. It's a podcast stroke video that they put out fortnightly with Roy Keane, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher and Ian Wright, and they had Rory McIlroy on there. And the conversation that ensued, because almost he was in an environment that wasn't golfy, and he didn't feel under threat, if you like, you really got the best out of McIlroy, I think. It's one of the most informative, relaxed, insightful videos and interviews with him that I've seen in a long time. It was really great to see, and ever since then, it feels like he's softened on that whole live direction. Massively, yeah. I think, and on the live subject, Dustin Johnson said, "I think I'm going to try a bit harder," and then goes out and wins. So clearly he's just been toying with messing around. Ian Linfoot asks, any plans on filming a putter video soon?
Putter-wise, not direct plans, but certainly something we're kind of building up towards, trying to get someone more specialised within putting. Mike, who was with us, is now Phil Kenyon's South of England coach. So we'd want to do it with the right person in the right way, but certainly something we'll be doing more of, I'm sure, as we go through the year. Immediate plans will be on the current launches, but we'll certainly plan to do that for sure.
Austin Poffenroth, fabulous surname. Each of your favourite drill for stopping early extension, moving weight into toes on the downswing. Always seems to fall towards the ball and need to move hips towards the ball to keep balance. Shall I start off with that one?
I think that's more relevant to you, because I would do it through looking at someone's club setup. So
well, why not share your thoughts on what that might look like in terms of a club setup? What would you see?
So normally in terms of early extension and standing up to it, then what I would see from a club setup point of view would be that if the club gets behind, if the club's heavy, then if you carry on going with the swing and stay in posture, then the chances are you're going to bottom out too soon, or the club just never comes through and stays behind. So in order to get a heavy club through, you generally have to, body's got to go this way, equal opposite forces to catapult the head forward. Now that can result in a shank, that can result in a flip, can result in a fat, but if you don't, something's got to give. If the club's stuck behind, something's got to give to get it that way, and normally it's standing up out of it.
Yeah. So, I think, when you talk about the weight of the club, it can really push the golfer in different directions, can't it? And I think that's the heavier club is probably the one you see more of over the light one, would you say? I
think so. I think certainly historically, where most golfers have played with, either they've got clubs they've had for 10, 15, 20 years or more, or they're a set they started with that someone's just given them that's a set of old hand-me-downs with dynamic golds in them, and there's just a lot of weight there. We are seeing more players with lighter weight now because the message about don't play too heavy, that's really got through to general consumers. So we're seeing certainly a lot more players with the clubs that are too light, or that they're now developing out of, because a lot more stock clubs have lighter steels or graphites in now. So it's a little bit more of an even mix than it used to be. Yeah,
you make a good point about falling on the toes of the feet. Ultimately, the game has been played, as far as I'm concerned. If you're a regular follower of my channel, I have a real issue with people tucking the arm, working the path from the inside. The minute you start to move any form of handle out towards the right in an effort to create a path from the inside, you are foreshortening the gap between the handle and the golf ball at strike relative to setup. And so to do that, as soon as that handle gets thrust off in that direction, you're already driving the energy on towards your toes. And so if you're driving the handle out that way and then it's pushing the weight onto the toes, well, you can't throw your head in that direction as well, so you're going to stand up. So that would be one thought to immediately abolish. Understanding that the right shoulder can move forwards, the left hip can move back, even though the right shoulder moves forwards. And the reason why I'm saying that is because most people along the inside out path line keep the shoulder back, push the handle out to the right to stop themselves from hitting slices. But as we know, path is not the answer, face is the answer. So once you get over the fact that you don't need to keep your shoulder back, you are able to move the handle out and around us to still hit from the inside. I think the point that you then want to start thinking about is where is the pressure through your feet, and really that pressure from toe to heel is the biggie. You're really trying to make it feel like you could lift your right toe up in your backswing and then your left heel in your backswing and then flip them around the other way. So you're really feeling like your feet are going toe, heel, toe of left foot or lead foot, heel of trail foot, and then it flips around the other way. And if you can start to get a sense of how those two pressure points with each foot work, you'll be in good shape. So, and I haven't got it down here with me, I've got a little bit of 1-inch pipe that you can stand on, and I'll use my club shaft. If I do bend it, I know some people that can repair it for me. If you were to stand on it and put your heels on the back and made a backswing and then flipped your feet around the other way, you'd start to change the pressures in your feet, which would then start to get you more into forward bend. So stand on a pipe. I've done a video on that on my channel, early extension, shameful plug, but look, we're all friends now. So go check that out. But early extension is a killer, but usually comes from people trying to drive the path a long way inside. That's a big answer, so sorry.
You'd have been very dangerous on a dance floor in the 70s, wouldn't you?
Allegedly. I still had this shirt on back then.
White suit?
Yes. Hopefully that answered your question there for us. So, gosh, we've got lots of questions coming in. Great to see. Thank you so much for the interaction as ever. Let me just double check where I'm up to. Robin Morton, how much difference between stock Ventus Blue and the Velocore with 90 miles an hour swing? Stuart, your videos have made a big difference. Thank you. You're welcome, Robin. I
mean, at any speed of swing, there is a different structure. There's a massive difference. The Velocore, what we call the full fat version, the proper aftermarket model, has just a much more structurally rigid tip section, and the Velocore material through much higher grade materials, whereas the stock version is a much softer tip, much higher torque, and really a much lower grade one. So actually, that shaft can be better for some players in a fairway because the tip recovers a bit more. But in the driver, the Velocore model is going to hold the head much more stable at impact. So a missed hit isn't going to deflect as much. It's not going to deviate as much. And so actually then finding the whole principle of Velocore is it reduces the deflection, the ovaling and the twisting, so that you find the center of the face more regularly because you haven't got the twisting of the head, twisting of the shaft, and so the head getting in and out of plane. So much more stable and consistent spins in principle with the Velocore model.
Very good answer. Jeff Berger asks, should a high handicap have any swing thoughts while playing? Had instructor tell me why not? Can't get much worse. Inspiring chat there. Was that a pep talk before we went out? My absolute pinnacle of a thought, a swing thought, would be simply focus on contact. If you've spent enough time on the range and you've used some foot spray to spray on the face of your golf club, work on contact. Maybe we should. We're on the TrackMan swing. I can. Yeah. Do you want to switch it over? We'll just show you what TrackMan offers up as a way of highlighting when someone strikes the golf ball out of certain parts of the face. When I go and play, and I believe that it should be the same for any standard golfer, whether you are brand new to the game or you are a seasoned veteran, strike is everything. You can make some of the best swings ever, strike it out the wrong part of the face and the ball's going off sideways. And you can mask a lot of errors by striking it well as well. So Simon's going to hit us some drivers here. Now, for those of you, and not to get too complex here, but a face to path value is something that tells us where the ball's going to bend. And the face to path value, if it's negative, the ball should bend right. And if the face to path value is positive, it should bend, negative face to path should bend left, positive face to path should bend right.
As a right-hander.
As a right-handed golfer. If you hit it out the heel or the toe, it could offset that. And we'll see what Mr. Cooper here does with his driver. So he's going to hit us a driver. Just hit your stand.
Just
yeah,
a normal one,
yeah,
just a normal necky one.
Yeah,
There.
just hit a little normal necky one
Just a
down there.
normal one. Little low on the face, fairly central, little low.
Okay, lovely. So as you'll see on the screen,
Might need to put the light on actually.
Simon has.
Might need the light for this.
Ah, okay, yeah. Let's
let me
flick
just-
the light on. Let's do that. Might cause James some havoc because all of a sudden he's got to change his exposures, but
Yeah.
that's all right. That's all
Try
right.
that one again.
That's all right. So Trackman needs some light
little
to
heely.
see the golf ball. Now
A little bit heely.
on the screen, the face to path value, which is telling us where the face was lined up, whether it was closed to the face or open to the path. When we look at the spin axis, this one here. So the spin axis, which is the last box on the right hand side, that'll tell us whether the ball bent to the left or bent to the right amount relative to how closed the club face was. So it's about 4 times. So 4 times the 3.5 degrees of closed face to path. So you can see 3 4s are 12. So that club face and golf ball and strike all lined itself up. Now,
Arrowed into that bunker up the left of the first of my own
Yes.
club. Yeah.
now let's see if you can get yourself a closed face and hit her out the heel.
Okay. I've wrapped it. I've got. Let me just soften that one back. Okay. I've closed it, but it's
Let's have a little look.
an absolute rope hook. Let me just gone a bit
right.
too far there.
That's all right. That's all right.
You
Have
did
another
say
go.
close it, right?
So the gear effect
Very
for those
slightly heely.
for those of you that are familiar will know that the gear effect on a golf club, which is the roll and bulge on the club face, is the thing that makes the ball curve in opposite directions. So you can see on this one, the face to path was -3, and we should have seen a negative spin axis of 12, but actually we saw it as 7. So the fact that Simon hit it out the heel reduced the amount of draw. And this is the point when you're going out on the golf course and you're not aware of the impact, particularly driver, which is the most volatile golf club. When you're not aware that the strike will mean your golf ball might bend more to the left or less to the left, depending on where you strike it, you need to really tap into the contact point. Again, we're a bit of a long-winded answer to that, but we wanted to show you the sort of technology that we've got here on our lives so that we can maybe open up some questions that you might want to think of asking us, because Simon's always up for hitting balls. We'll flick the light off, yeah,
Let's get the
so that we
light levels
get
back.
that back to where we like to.
Good to keep the back moving, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So in answer to your question, always think about strike more than any other thing. Goodness me, we've got some questions coming. This is fantastic. Really, really great stuff, guys. James Ferguson, great driver fitting with Simon on Friday evening. Amazing results. I'm still gobsmacked. My question, I've had many lessons, but was there any point you transformed my swing using technology alone? Well done. Sounds like you've done a good job.
By getting the right weight of club, rather than the club, so for James, the shaft was a little bit, driver shaft was a bit heavy, head is a little bit heavy, so the club got stuck behind him, so then came out of posture, lost balance, lost timing, and so actually from what appeared to be quite a broad, actually most of the misses in the session with the existing club were left where it kind of catapulted the head round. By going lighter, James was able to stay in balance more, and therefore you can deliver the club more under control, and then you're hitting fairways. So actually, from an equipment point of view, if we can get the player and the club syncing up, then the frame of the human frame is more stable, therefore the club face is more stable. So he was much better than he thought he was, I think.
Fantastic. Well, we might have to change these 1 hour Monday Night Lives to 3 hours by the sounds of things. So I'm just going to answer a question from Tom Ashmore. Stuart, could you give me a drill to help start my backswing up to P3? I tend to roll my wrists and get the club behind me, getting too deep. Great question there, sir. So a lot of us think about taking the golf club away, taking it to the side, and often pulling the club head to the side, as you'll see, the club head will move around. Now, what we need to understand is that actually to get the club head moving away, applying pressure down through the butt of the golf club and lifting the club head up by using our hands to lever the club head as I start to move, in our case here, our tummy away, all of a sudden I can push down with the butt, pull up with the club head as I move my golf club around. And so now what you see is the left hand moving inside, the pressure in my grip lifting the club head up. Now all of a sudden the club head is up and outside my hands. The last thing you'd ever want to do is start pushing the handle away just in an effort to keep the club head out in front of you. It's the worst thing you can ever do. This golf swing is a rotary motion. That shoulder, if it's moving around us, should make that left hand move back inside. So the handle in, butt down, club head up, and you'll start to really move the handle in and not swing the face in and around you too much. Hopefully that helps.
Lovely.
Good stuff. Maybe you take that one.
So I'll take this one, yeah.
And then we'll sort of bounce between the two. We're thinking on our feet here.
Go.
Yeah,
There's James's one, right?
You up with it?
Righty-hoo. I've got one for you. Stuart, can you give me a... Oh, that's the...
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be that one.
That'll be that one. Go for another one after that one there. What have you got from there?
So one for you from Liam Hancock. What's the best golf-related book you've read? Any golf-related topic?
Best golf-related book? Oh, goodness, good question. I don't think you can go too far wrong with the Bob Rotella books. They're an oldie, and I actually met Bob Rotella. I was down at where I used to coach many moons ago, down in World of Golf in New Malden.
Yep.
And I was down there with a client, and Roger Winchester, who was playing on tour, who I know is a friend of mine. He walked down the range with Bob Rotella, and they were hitting some shots. So I got to meet him and had a chat with him. And I think those books are so nice because it's giving stories of how golfers thought. And I think the best one out of all of the books is when Fred Couples goes to Bob Rotella and he says, "Hey Freddie, what do you need?" He says, "I just want something to think about with my long game." He said, "Well, what do you think about at the moment?" He said, "Well, I think of the best ever shot I've ever hit when I stand over the golf ball." And Bob Rotella says, "Keep doing it, Freddie. Keep doing it." Because it's, it's all you can do, right? It's not a bad image, yeah. So I think Bob Rotella and his books of Golf's a Game of Perfect, or Golf's Not a Game of Perfect, Putting Out of Your Mind. There's some really good books in there. Yeah.
For me, if you like a bit of history, The Match. That's the one where I think it was Hogan, Byron Nelson, a couple of amateurs played around Cypress Point. If you like a bit of history, that's quite a good one. It's a nice read.
Yeah. I think that it's good. Golf books, from that standpoint, the history stuff. There's some lovely old wives' tales. Some, I remember, just going and playing these rounds of golf and conversations with different various people is great to see. Mike T, any golf bags you recommend to stop clubs clinking when carrying?
There is. I can't remember the brand of it. There is a bag that each club section has a clip, and it stops them rattling around. But it's not very helpful because I can't remember the brand, I'm afraid. But there is one.
We'll stick it in the comments later on. Have you tried the UST Dart V iron shafts, 120 F5 specifically?
Those ones not specifically. The range, yes. I mean, the Recourse series have been around a long time. They tend to be slightly softer feeling, a little higher launching. So the 120 F5, the F5 stands for X-Flex. Very, very stable. In theory, a little bit higher launch, more kind of mid-balance for that type of a weight.
Mark Tizard asks, all my lag has gone out of my golf swing before I get to the golf ball, so no power. Any suggestions? I can give you a very quick tip on that. First of all, you need to make sure your hold is a little bit stronger. Most notably your left hand. If your left hand is weak, if you were to lag and load the golf club as you come in, which promotes a little bit more shaft lean, you'll leave the club face open. So make sure you get your grip a little bit stronger. Go check out on my channel, Ultimate Grip Guide. You can find out how to hold the club appropriately. So check your left hand grip first of all. And then my advice to you would be to get the golf club take all of the wrist set out, get your arms and your shaft all in one line, and then pull on the golf club where you start to feel how the golf club can start to load. And when you feel it load more, you'll feel the angle of attack go up. And if your grip is weak and you apply that, you'll start popping them out to the right, which is why your grip needs to get stronger. So take the set out, start pulling on the golf club, which will load the shaft, and it will start to get a little bit more pressure on the golf ball. But grip and that little drill should help you out with that.
Some of it can be just also body not turning. If you lack mobility,
Yep.
then actually if the body's not turning, then the arms are going to dump it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Norwegian Warhound. Hey, nice to see him back. I'll restrain myself from from entering the comp due to obvious logistical issues. How would you remedy heavy iron heads that have a good shaft for you, but swing weight is very heavy? Cheers, guys.
Depends what length you're playing them at. I mean, some heads just are, unfortunately, it's a difficult one because you can add weight to heads, but you can't take it out. So depending on the head itself and depending on what length setup you've got, unfortunately, it is a difficult one. You can make the swing weight lighter by going a heavier grip, but then you're just going heavier to make them swing lighter, which is sort of a bit what we call arse about face, which
Us Brits.
being the other side of the pond, that phrase might not make sense, but it's just it's a difficult one. If the heads are heavy, then you're kind of firefighting an issue that is pretty irredeemable.
Yeah, get yourself fitted, NWH. Punky Brewster, he says we're his two famous Brits, two favourite Brits, should I say.
Very kind.
He asked, I was playing around with a Japanese putter grip. This is on my channel, but this is for you, not for me. I was playing around with a Japanese putter grip the other day. If you're familiar with that grip, what are your thoughts on it? I read it may help keep the shoulders square. You familiar with that grip?
Is it just a Japanese?
Japanese putter grip. Familiar with that?
Unless there's a particular model.
Maybe give us a bit more detail on the model of it, and so
I mean, there are some pretty.
I'm not familiar with
pretty
that.
unique and funky Asian products we don't get over here. But if it's a brand called Japanese putter grips, I'm not particularly aware of them. But if it's a Japanese brand, then let us know the brand, and I'll see if I'm aware of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kevin Phillips, would you consider Project X rifle iron shafts tip heavy or neutral? Thanks.
It's a technique.
Okay, right. I'll come back there. I'll answer the project. The Project X shafts are lower mid. They're not heavy. They're not particularly tip heavy, but they are structurally a very stout shaft. So yeah. There you go.
Yes. I have seen it. Punky, I'm not a fan of that. No.
Looks slightly questionable what he's doing with his fingers looking at that.
Yeah. But no, sorry. Okay, so I thought I was in club fitting mode. So not a fan of that myself.
I think that the principle I have seen talked about, which may or may not, it's something that. Problem is, any grip can work for a player at a particularly given time, but kind of trying to get the elbows in the palms, in theory, reduces rotation, but you're putting yourself in a functionally fairly non-normal position.
The trouble that we've got with putting, and when it comes to technique, is that principally, we're trying to get the spine and the club shaft to work in an ideal world, in a perpendicular nature, which is why Michelle Wee stood to the putter like so, because that means that you could get the putter head going as close to straight as possible. The minute that we're on an angle, we've got to arc the head in and in. So by any amount of the shaft is up, you're reducing that arc and therefore giving yourself a much better opportunity of getting the face lined up. But that's not taking into account attack angle, then miss strike. There's so many variables. My best advice with anyone for putting is get your face alignment sorted. We see more people, particularly with the fittings, more people with misaligned putter faces than we do any other error.
I had to paint out the line on my putter because actually a line towards the hole I see is left. Whereas actually, so a Versa style putter with, I use the face, I'm much better at using the face to align and square off than a line down the target line, which sounds strange, and these aren't that strong of glasses, but how you see the putter from an alignment point of view is critical to your setup position.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Niels Axelson, nice to see you, Niels, a regular of our Monday Night Lives. Simon, you seem to have a very ingrained swing. Do you ever get training from other people or only from Trackman numbers by Stuart maybe?
Well, we have a cheeky little session on Thursday morning booked in. I've swung that way a long time. I've softened back action-wise. I mean, I'm fortunate I've got a club in hand each day, so you can keep a feel for it. But there are particular numbers I like to keep a track on when I'm not spending the time I should be practicing. I'm fortunate I've got this here every day to reference where my swing is if I do get any time to hit shots, which isn't as often as you all think. But yeah, I guess I've been using Trackman long enough to know the triggers that if something's getting out of alignment, I can generally have a base look at it, but I need a proper professional to tell me what I should be doing, which is probably the same as he told me last time.
Never mind. It's good to go over old ground and just keep you on point. Great question here. Bama number one, for a starting point, what shaft torque value should folks be looking at with a swing speed of 95 to 100?
Shouldn't be worrying about it. Torque is really about feel. So the torque value is a reference to how rotationally strong the shaft is, and the higher the number, the more rotation. Generally speaking, driver shafts, if you're a stronger hitter, then in theory a lower number creates a little bit less twist on a miss hit, but ultimately the function of torque is more feel and a little bit of pop, maybe a little bit of spin, but that is probably one of the last things you should be worrying about.
Very good, very good. Goodness me, sorry chaps, I'm trying to keep up with all this, all of the questions here. So Tony, by the way, evening guys. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be grinning. I've just thought about
it's the alternative name from last week.
No, are smaller headed drivers easier to turn over, or is that more the effect of a given shaft?
They can be easier to turn over. I think what we're seeing this year in particular, or the last couple, is the bigger club heads where they're moving more weight away from the face and back to get these sort of magic 10K numbers. Actually, if you're a player who has a little bit of an opening of the club face in transition, actually it's gearing the face more open. That weight at the back is actually opening the face more and leaving it open through impact. So a smaller club head or a weight forward head is easier to square back up. If it drops open and you need to rotate it back, the smaller head will be easier to square up or turn over.
The Ultimate Gamer talks about lag, and he's got a good point there. The Ultimate Gamer says, lag for better players is a reaction to face angle on the way down. You'll dump it if you're open, and you'll hold it and slow down if you're shut. If you don't react, you'll hit it sideways. Well, I disagree with that. You know, if you're shut, you'll tend to load it more. If you are weak, you'll tend to unload it more. The more you load it, the more you're squeezing it, pinching the golf ball and opening the face. So when the face is more shut, you'll tend to see people that are more lag and loaders, down loaders in their golf swing. And people like Marco Mira of old yesteryear, he was very wide on the way down. Steve Stricker, very wide on the way down. Whereas you look at a Dustin Johnson or Matt Fitzpatrick, big downloaders in their swing because they're super strong with the hold and super strong with the face. They then sacrifice ball flight. Someone like a Fitzpatrick that's upped his speed is now back up. Dustin Johnson has always had mammoth club speed, so he's been fired. But
Garcia, another one.
Yeah, exactly. So so if you're a strong gripper, you'll always encourage more download and more lag and load. Yeah. But thanks very much for your thoughts. Let's go with one over here. So Stuart Brister, great fit with Simon recently. Can't wait for the wedges. Forgot to ask, what is the difference between the AV and 1K range in the orange? Tempted to feed more of my salary into PG. Cheers.
So the AV is for want of a better phrase, entry level. It's still an aftermarket shaft, but it doesn't have the highest grade materials that they use in the 1K Pro range. So essentially the 1K range is where they throw everything in the kitchen sink at it and the latest materials. The AV is a slightly, I'd say, lesser version of it. Sounds like it's still a very good shaft and the right shaft for some players versus the 1K, but it's a slightly less stable set of materials, slightly less high grade. So the AV is not going to feel quite as smooth and get the same level of stability as the 1K.
Good answer there, Simon, as usual. Jeff Berger asks thoughts on Leadbetter's A-swing model. I am not someone that goes out looking at other coaches' material, so I don't know enough about it to comment either positively or negatively. I will leave it on that one. Norwegian.
Nothing political there, right?
No, not at all, not at all. Freddie M was fitted into PX 6.5 in the irons like Vokey's, and they come with S200 stock shafts. Do you think they'll combine well with the irons? Do wedge shafts matter much? I don't hit full swings with the wedges. So
the wedge shafts matter absolutely, same as any other bit of the bag. The Dynamic Golds will work with the Project X's. They'll give you a little bit more feel. The Project X's are very, very stable through the midsection, so you don't generally see a lot of players using them because that tendency when you rein the swing back a little bit, you want a bit more give and kick from the shaft to get some feedback. But from a weight point of view, they will complement it well. The weight's the key thing. If you're in a 95-gram steel shaft or a 75-gram graphite and you play the standard Dynamic Gold at 130, 135, it's not going to swing well for you. So in the same way as the full swing irons and the drivers and everything, shaft weight for timing and control is critical in wedges too.
Very good. Mark Tizard makes a comment. Just a quick note, I've been rotating left with my drive and getting the handle to go left, which has straightened my driving tremendously. That's thanks to one of my broom videos. Yeah. If you've not seen them, there's 4 of them. Go over.
There's room on the broom.
There's room on the broom, baby. Who knew a garden broom could be so useful? Niels Axelson, record numbers watching live this week, chaps. 93 at the time of writing, plus 40 at Good Golf Coaching. I know, it's brilliant. Fantastic.
Thank you for all the support, everybody.
Absolutely,
Great.
absolutely.
Much appreciated.
And this is a weekly show at 6 o'clock that we run every week, and I think it's a really good point or time to let you all know about our Team Challenge trophy that we're running out at the Costa Navarino Resort with our trusted travel partners at Golf Escapes. Simon, myself, Roger Chapman, the senior tour major winner, multiple champion major winner on the PGA Champion Tour, Paul Nestling, and our other resident coach here, Lewis Sparrow, heading out to Costa Navarino. If you want to find out more and you might want to join Simon's team or my team or one of the other guys, go over and check out teamchallengetrophy.com where you'll find all of the information and where you can enter. We'd love to have you along. Yeah. We'll be here, James will be there, and who knows what.
With the viewership, we can make an international team up with all of this.
I know. Flying from all over the world. It's a great venue, and if you haven't seen it, go check out Costa Navarino as well. Michael Barber, hi guys, which grip is best, interlock or overlap? I'm going to ask you that question. Which one do you prefer?
So I use overlap. Interlock, I used to find it kind of pinched my knuckles and it was just painful. Historically, I've always heard people say if you've got small hands, use the interlock, but I don't have large hands and the overlap's just more comfortable for me.
Yeah, I'm an interlock guy myself, so we're polar opposite, but yeah, I remember having my very first ever golf lesson at Cuddington Golf Club many years ago, and the pro changed my grip and I was crying. I was 10 years old and I was crying because it was so painful. He tried to train me to overlap grip. So use whatever makes you most comfortable, I believe, as long as there is a linkage between the two hands.
I remember Greg Norman used what he called intermesh. So it was kind of halfway between. It wasn't overlapped and it wasn't kind of wrapped around. It literally kind of slotted in between. So again, use what feels most comfortable.
Yes, no, absolutely. Glenn Williams, hi guys, played tennis and badminton as a junior, quite a high level. I've quite active hands, which I'm doing my best to calm down. Would a lower torque driver shaft also help?
No. In a word, no. No, it's. I think what we mustn't confuse is what the shaft actually does. If you've got active hands, then I always say in the golf swing, your hands are going to do whatever they need to put the club on the back of the ball. And if the club's set up correctly, then you haven't got to use your hands much because the ball just gets in the way. In the same way, if you throw a ball, you don't kind of flick your wrist at it over there, you just let go because everything connected and together. It's the same thing with a golf swing.
You haven't seen James throw, have you?
is it like an octopus fork? So it actually, the better the club setup that suits the way that you move and develop your speed, the simpler the impact gets, and the more you can just freewheel through it. So torque, stiffness profile, flex make no difference from the shaft. The weight and the balance point are the bits that are going to help.
Good answer. Norwegian Warhound says, I'll restrain myself from entering the comp. How would you remedy heavy iron heads? Oh no, we've answered that question already. See, sorry.
Your thumb's playing
I
tricks
know,
on you.
I know. Bhupinder Bogle, I saw him today
BP.
in the gym.
I
well
know.
done.
I mean, that's
done.
admirable.
I think
it's more admirable than I'm managing them.
I think the bag Simon was referring to might be the Motor Caddy Protector cart bag. The clubs almost lock into their own compartment. Good work there, Bhupinder. Thank you for that. We've
Team
got
Mauritius.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Tizard. Just a quick note. I've been rotating. Oh goodness me, I keep answering the same ones. Barmer number 1. Thank you, Simon, for answering Bama's question about the 95-100 torque question. Stuart's broom drill has helped me tremendously. You are welcome.
And your wife's happy because the patio's clean.
Exactly, all these patios that are clean all across the world, and everyone's improved their golf swings. Fantastic. Nick Lutton, hi Simon and Stuart. I've heard that shaft classification is inconsistent across manufacturers. Has progress been made in trying to achieve industry standards? Love the Monday Night Lives, by the way. Thank you
very
so much, Nick.
I think the answer is yes and no. I think ultimately the classifications you're talking about are weight and flex, and it's only relevant to that range of shafts and what they're trying to achieve with them. So, actually, Acura as a brand have constant flex across all of their FX ranges. So, for example, which is becoming the GX range, in that you've got the 140, 150, 160. The regular is the same flex across all of those models, but across the different brands, we take Mitsubishi, the AV white versus the Tensei Pro 1K orange in a 50 and a 60. The regular is going to be a different flex because the shafts are designed to do different things. So it is something that there is a lot of shades of grey with. There's the company Cool Clubs have developed the S3 machine. They've tested almost every single shaft out there, and there is a normalised set of tests on the same machine for torque, flex, kick point, balance point. But there aren't many of us who have access to that data. So it is a minefield, I don't see it something that's going to clear up in the main for quite a long time, sadly.
Very good answer as usual. Tony, by the way, thanks guys. So of the smaller heads on the market, which couple would be your favourite for feel and performance, not ping?
I think when you say smaller, they're not that much smaller, the ones I'm going to mention. I mean, the Titleist, the TSR 3 and 4, they're relatively compact at kind of 440 odd cc. I think those just from a construction sound point of view looks, I play it, so I quite like it. Other than that, the smaller heads, the problem is small, they're just not that much smaller. So I think what TaylorMade have done with the mini driver, I think is great. It's just a shame that it's such a short production line. They do what they call a kind of a hero product, where they do a limited production run, get it out there, sell out, and then job done. And so fitting wise, we never get them in the studio, because by the time we've got the demo, they're sold out, so we can't get any more. And I think it's a shame that that product doesn't carry on through the season. Very
much so. If you're watching, do give us a like and a share, and maybe invite your friends along next Monday Night Live, because the more the merrier. We will answer all of the questions best of our ability. We give a little cut off pretty much 5 minutes before, but we've pretty much got through them all, which is fantastic. Steve Durrington, hi guys, do you usually see similarities between fitted driver and fairway shafts? Obviously fairway usually heavier. Also, any tips for fairways hit driver and irons well, but got lost with fairways?
So they used to be more similar when the head sizes weren't as different. Now driver, you tend to play a stiffer tip or a lower torque shaft, because the bigger head gears and twist the shaft more, so it has to cling on tighter to stop the deflection. Whereas on a fairway wood, you generally play a softer tip shaft to get the smaller head recovering and to get a bit of feedback and a bit of launch out of the shaft. So now we tend to play a bit of a different profile in the driver and the fairway wood.
Yep.
Tips on the fairway wood. I mean, actually fairway wood, if you hit your driver well and not the fairway wood and you're hitting your irons well, it could actually be shortening the fairway shaft. The driver being teed up, ironically, you've got so much more margin of error on strike and depth and height at impact that you can get away with a lot more. And a lot of players struggle with the fairway wood because off the ground you've got basically certainly low, zero margin of error, and the margin of error the other way is a complete thin. So actually it's much, much harder from a striking point of view. So potentially shorten the shaft down a little bit. As long as you manage the head weight, that could be a solution.
And also understand what type of golfer you are. If you are someone that slices the golf ball, grab less loft on your fairway wood, because if you're chopping it up into the air and you're getting too much spin, drag some loft down. If you're someone that is a hook golfer, bit light in launch, add loft to it so that you can hit down and still get some loft. So I think that's where good fitting plays into it.
Identify the swing trends and the flight trends, and you know, it might be a shallower face, might be a shallower head works well. Sometimes a deeper head works better.
Yeah,
so
very much. We've got a contender for name of the night. So we've got Tony, by the way, on Precision Golfs, and we've got Jing Ping on mine.
Yeah,
it's cracking name, cracking name. I would like to wish you all Happy New Year and good luck in the year of the long Chinese dragon.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a Chinese dragon. I was born in 1976.
Is that why you're wearing that?
That's why I'm a dragon outfit.
You got your scales on.
Got my scales on.
Yeah.
1976.
1976.
I'm a dragon. Yeah, fire dragon they call it. Not just a dragon, fire dragon.
It's just
fire
yeah,
dragon.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
1980. I wouldn't know. Well, I'm probably a rat or something like that, I would imagine.
Bama number one, asks Simon, question concerning Superstroke putter grips that Tour pros use. Is there a negative point given the weight of the SS grip of around 80 grams?
Actually, no. The 1.0 is the heaviest grip at about 75, 80 grams, but the 2.0 and 3.0 in the Tour series are actually lighter. They're actually not a heavy grip unless you put a counterweight in. So actually the Superstroke weights are good for going bigger without making the putter grip heavy.
Jams TV, any tips, any top tips for backswing triggers? Good question. Good question.
It's easy for you
Got
to
one.
say.
This is super easy question. And you're going to go, oh, why didn't I think of that? Stand yourself over the golf ball, count to 3, and when you hit 3, 1, 2, 3, you go. Triggers in backswings are usually because you can't get started. Well, just back yourself into a corner. When you hear the word 3, just pull the golf club. If you're thinking about what to move first, I would always try to feel that the right foot pushes and the handle pulls. So I'm feeling like I've got two forces working against each other. I'm trying to use my right foot to push me towards the target, and I'm using my handle to pull away from the golf ball. And it's something we've worked on with yourself, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you can get, like, you want to get moving, but you can't get the club head moving. And that's not why you necessarily do it, but you see it with golfers, how they have that big sort of a sway off the golf ball, the club head's still back here, and then they drag it away. Why not activate your feet and activate your top half? Get the club head moving by pushing it away, and so you don't push yourself off the golf ball, use the right foot to push against it. And then what starts to happen is you start to then open your pelvis up and stay a little bit more centered.
Yeah, because I always used to sway off the ball, and I got to the point where I was trying to work out how do I not sway, and actually, as you say, it's actually just push off the right foot to move the other way rather than trying not to move. Actually give yourself something positive to work towards rather than trying not to do something.
100%. Well, I believe we have cracked on through all of the questions.
Very
impressive. We've
and
done
you went
well.
Through 2 or 3 of them 4
times.
I
know, 4 times.
Very
I
impressive.
know. Well, listen, chaps and chapesses, this has been our very first evening of the 2 channels coming together and bringing you what I think is a lot of fun on a Monday night. If there's any questions...
If it's not for you, it is for us. Anyway,
yeah, we absolutely love it. This is a regular item every week, 6 p.m. And if you want to come down and watch one time, just opposite the line. You can come and watch. But it's a great opportunity for us to flex our knowledge, give you an opportunity to ask questions that you might not have a resource to do so. So we are here every week, and most importantly, tell your friends.
Yeah. Don't be shy to ask us if there's stuff you want us to hit. Like last week, there were lots of things people asked us to hit.
Yep.
We don't necessarily just have to hit our own clubs.
No.
If you want to see a particular head or shaft or comparison hit, let us know and we'll do our best.
You got a busy week ahead?
Yeah, they're from here on in, I think, they're February, March, we're absolutely stacked. So, yeah,
Brilliant.
It's an exciting time of year, this. So.
Good times. Well, thank you once again for all of your questions, and those of you that have subscribed to both channels and put competition up on the chat. We will sift through those and put all of your names into a hat, and we will draw one next week live on the show.
A ceremonial draw.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just if you haven't remembered, you can still enter. Obviously, just leave them in the comments below. If you are subscribed to both of our channels, put competition in both the comments box for both channels, and that gets you entered in a draw for a driver fitting with Simon and a 1 hour session with myself, either in person or on Skillist. And as I say, we'll announce the winner next week. From Simon and I, we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a great week, and thanks for watching.